Good morning. I am Sue Fuller-Good from the Energy Incubator and the author of The Sweet Spot. And I am running this podcast, your route map to well-being, in order to help you to take the secrets from people who have discovered how to really have it all: success at work and health and well-being. And so I have with me today Sarah Njamu, who is an entrepreneur, an educator. She's the CEO of Compu-Connect Education. She's a digital transformation specialist, and she's going to share with us how she has found it possible to actually have it all: success at home, success at work, health, well-being, and balance. And I know she hasn't always had it perfectly right, and I'm sure she doesn't think that she's going to have it perfectly right for the rest of her life. But I know she's downloaded and discovered some secrets, and we want to get into her head and take those secrets so that we can use them in our own lives. So welcome, Sarah. I am so happy to have you here with me this morning. I was lucky enough to share a table with Sarah at a beautiful school lunch for moms and daughters when our lovely teenage girls were, I think, in about grade 11. And we shared a fantastic lunch, unforgettable lunch together. And so this is an opportunity to get to know more about you, Sarah. And I'm so glad we got to meet each other that day, and grateful to our daughters for introducing us. But thank you for giving up your time to come and share your thoughts with us. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So welcome.
Thank you, Sue. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I am really excited to just engage and dig deep.
I love it. Dig deep. I love that. Just the deeper we can go, the better. So let's start, Sarah. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your career, and your journey that you've taken in your life to date?
So, like you said, I am Sarah Njamu. I am the CEO of Compu-Connect Education. This is a company that I've been running for the past 15 years. I am a wife and I am a mother as well. I love those titles. I embrace them because they are part of who I am, and those titles also drive the way I live my life and what I do. So I started my career as a high school mathematics teacher. I taught my mathematics in a high school. Then I transitioned into tertiary, where I worked as a lecturer. I worked as a lecturer for mathematics and ICT. It's at the time that ICT was just being introduced. So we would teach ICT to like your engineering students, or, students that were studying technical courses, and they were taking ICT as part of their key skills. And then at the time, I was also studying towards my MBA. And once I had obtained my MBA, I just thought, man, it was time to try something new. So I pivoted from my education career. I looked for a job in the private sector. And my first job in the private sector was a software sales consultant job. So I worked for a company that was distributing education software. And because I'm a teacher and I came from a teaching background, I just loved being in that space, and I excelled, did very well, and I just fell in love with technology. And after a while working for that private company, I decided it was time to launch. So I registered my own company, and I got started. And 15 years later, here we are. We distribute digital technology solutions. So we distribute anything from artificial intelligence chatbots to robotic process automation. We distribute learning management systems, and we also believe in people development, because we know that technology without people will not produce the efficiency that we're looking for. So we also bring in the people factor. So our business is also big on leadership development. Leadership development is one of the big pillars that we bring to the table. And yeah, like I said, I'm a wife. I've been married for 23 years and I love being a wife. I love it. And I'm a mother. I'm a mom of 3 daughters. So my daughters are aged 20, just about to turn 21 now. That's my first daughter. And my second one just turned 16. Can you believe it? Yeah. And I've also got a little baby. Well, not a baby anymore. She's 6. She's just started her grade 1. And yeah, just love the journey, love the experience. And I'm enjoying where I'm at.
Wow. So, you know, there's so much, Sarah, in what you've shared there already. Your ability to pivot and change and embrace change, your ability to study and work and be a wife and a mother and love all of those roles. That's a lot to take on in your life, and this must have been difficult for you and challenging for you at times. Can you share something around, first of all, the challenges that you've encountered along the way with trying to do all these things? And I can hear by the way that you describe them that you do them well because you love them so much. So what challenges have you encountered and how did you engage with those challenges? What secrets of success can you share with us in terms of
Absolutely. So my greatest challenge has always been to find the perfect balance, especially in seasons when I've had to do intense things. For example, when I was studying for my MBA, that was an intense season in my life. When I was starting off establishing my business, that was quite intense. So I must say those seasons, it was very difficult for me to get the right balance, the perfect balance, so to say, that one would be looking for. But I also had perspective. So it's almost like I compartmentalized my life. I knew that for a season, I may not have the perfect balance that I'm looking for, but I'm working towards. The reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, it's because I want to create the balance, okay? So I think of when I did my MBA, I was a lecturer. I had a 2-year-old full-time job and a 2-year-old and studying an MBA. That was crazy.
Wow.
That was crazy. I look back, I have no idea how I did it, but I know that my life was work, popping in at home for a bit to check on my baby, and then going to the library, then coming back late at night. For me, what was very helpful was that I had a very good support system. I had a great partner. Well, my husband is a very supportive partner who is very involved in my life, in the life of my children. So really, I leaned into that support system. So he practically stepped in terms of looking after, our 2-year-old at the time, who's now 20, who's the same age as your daughter, Sue. So we both had full-time jobs. But for him, he was able to sort of work just the regular hours, go to work at 8 and then come back at 5. And he was deliberate about being home at 5 because he knew that for me, once I finish at 4:30 at the college where I was lecturing, I would then be heading off to the library. So the challenge was just finding the perfect balance. But that was seasonal, okay? So it was that 2 years, those days, the MBAs took 2 years. So I just immersed myself completely into my studies, because I also had goals and timeframes that I was working with. So I needed to finish my MBA in 2 years, literally. So yes, so I tapped into my support system, who was my husband, just carried on. And I'm so proud that I finished in record time. Within 2 years, I'd finished my coursework, had done my dissertation, and I was graduating. And that was, that was the idea. Yes, 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 yes. And then I was able to go back to being a present and available mother. So that's one of the challenges that I've really faced. I also think of when I also started my business. Man, it was intense. It was intense. And also at that time, we both went into business at the same time with my husband. So my husband, he's a construction consultant. So he also started his own firm. So it was also quite a difficult season. Then my oldest, who's your daughter's age, she was in grade 1. I did miss a few of her school things, but I was quite deliberate about being present. But there were times that, I couldn't make it completely. I remember, one time when she was acting in some drama show, and I needed to be at this presentation. I had to sacrifice that, but I never beat myself up. So my whole thing was, once I lose that balance, the idea is to get back, and just work towards finding that balance again. So yeah, that was a difficult season as well, but also I tap into my support system. So I had good helpers as well, who were fantastic with my kids, helped with homework as well. So yeah, so I just made sure, I made sure there was a good backup system for myself, so that I could continue achieving what I was achieving, at the same time, being a mother as well.
Wow, there's so much that I want to come back to and really tease out of what you've said, Sarah, because you've given us so many nuggets in describing your story there and how you engaged with the challenging times in your life. So if I may, the first thing that really struck me is the support system that you created. And I think that is one of the secrets of how we need to think about it if we want to be able to thrive in the world and be successful and achieve our dreams and goals and maybe live our purpose on this planet, is that none of us can do it all alone, and none of us can carry all that responsibility all by ourselves. So we live in a community. And it sounds like you've really engaged with your community and set up a support structure and a team that can help you achieve everything that needed to be achieved in your life. That sort of ability to delegate and rely on and trust other people to help you seems to be one of the nuggets that you're sharing. Am I right in saying that?
You're so right, Sue. And I am so big on delegation. I also just find that as women, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because society expects for us to fulfill so many of these roles that we take on everything on ourselves. So the certain things that I just was very clear about. I knew I was building a business, and that in itself is a lot of work and it takes a lot of energy. So I had to set up my domestic structure in such a way that that too was not consuming so much of my time. So listen, for a season, I didn't do the cooking. I just made sure I had a support system for myself that could cook. I would come home to a beautifully cooked meal and sit at the table with my family and have a decent meal. But I was deliberate. So, it was a deliberate effort. I made sure my support system was well equipped as well, you know, in terms of the skills that they needed, you know, to be able to be part of this ecosystem that I had created for myself. So yes, delegation, very important. And you've got to be okay with it. And I remember, you know, I'd sit at tables and you'd have all these moms who cook, you know, who glory in the time that they spend just, you know, investing in cooking. And I'm just like, listen, I haven't stepped into my kitchen for quite a number of months. And I was okay with that because it was a season and life has got stages, right? And I got to a place where my business was well established, you know, that pressure was off. Like now, I cook all the time and I enjoy that. I enjoy that. So yes, being able to delegate is part of the success nugget and part of staying sane as a woman. Yeah.
Wow, and so I'm hearing many other words that I really want to tease out in this conversation. And apart from delegation, I'm really hearing the word deliberate coming from you many times, and it sounds like the second thing that you're sharing with us is that you really were deliberate about the planning. You recognized what you were going to need in order to achieve your goals, and at the same time be the wife and mother that you were. And so you planned really carefully. And the other thing that I'm hearing from you, you didn't use this exact word, but in my speak, you made a lot of choices and you chose how you were going to spend your time. And you chose that for a season you were going to exit from certain roles and knowing that you could come back to them anytime. And they were roles that you were willing to sacrifice and allow somebody else to fill in for you because they felt sacrificable. Does that sound right? Have I summarized what you said?
Absolutely. You're very right. So yeah, so it's about the choices and also setting the priorities. What is it that is important? And then you allocate the needed, you know, time and energy to that. So for example, a good example is cooking. Between me coming back home and spending my whole time in the kitchen cooking when I haven't been home to spend time with my kids, one of the things had to go. So I would rather delegate the cooking so I can actually spend my time that I have when I'm home with my kids. So I would be present with them. So it was a matter of priority, you know, which one is more important for me at this particular time. So yeah.
Now, I'm hearing from you, and I love the word prioritizing. Wow, I think that's actually our third nugget. There are probably 87,000 others that you've mentioned, but let's name those three. But presence, that's one of the big outcomes of mindfulness, which is what I talk about at all times. So yay, the word presence should come up, and it sounds like you've really mastered that. How to be present for your family. So in a way, you gave them quality, even if you couldn't give them quantity. And that quality was so rich because it was presence, inclusive and so present, and chosen and deliberate and conscious so that they could get the best of you in that time and you the best of them. So yeah, that sounds really brilliant. But what some people may say, and forgive me for highlighting this, but I really want to tease it out of you even further, is that in some ways you're a huge visionary, but there could be said that you've been selfish in the pursuit of your own goals. Now, I'm absolutely the believer in the sweet spot, finding the middle ground between selfish and unselfish, and finding that absolute sweet spot in terms of where you're being the strongest version of yourself and living your truth and your purpose. And that does require some amount of selfishness, not too much, and not too little, but exactly the right amount so that you thrive and everybody around you thrives. Can you talk a little bit more around how you engaged with your ability to be selfish, if you don't mind my calling it that, as you pursued your own goals?
No, absolutely. I don't think anybody can actually achieve the bigger goal or the vision that they have for themselves without also an element of self-care, which if you think about it, it's an element of being selfish, but in a good way, because if you do not have self-care, if you do not look after yourself, there's no way you're going to execute. You're gonna be tired, you're gonna be out of balance. So there's a place for you to actually put yourself at the center of everything. And for me, I actually understood that. I understood that I needed to take good care of myself for me to be able to thrive, for me to be able to be that good mother, for me to be able to build that business, for me to be able to be that good wife. And part of actually being selfish, if we may call it, was actually cutting out certain things that, I couldn't avail myself to. I remember even relationships that were not serving me well in that season. I literally just let them go. Friendships that were not adding to the fuel of the season that I was in, literally, I let them go. That was part of me refining my commitment to the journey that I had committed myself to. So yes, things that waste time, time wasting things that are not adding value to me. Like I said, even if it's relationships, if they're draining, those relationships literally, I cut them off. So yes, element of selfishness, and that comes from putting yourself at the center of all this, because you are the driver. You're driving, this agenda that you're on. So if you're not strong within yourself, if you're not finding that balance, if you're not finding strength from within, because you've given so much of yourself that you're depleted, you're not going to achieve that which you have set yourself to achieve.
Wow. I mean, I totally buy into what you're sharing, and you make it seem so easy. It's not easy to find that exactly right amount of selfishness, if you like, to actually do what's right for you in order for you to be the effective and successful driver of your life. It's tempting, especially as a woman, to be sacrificing of yourself and your own dreams and visions and goals and hopes for your own life so that you can support everybody else's. It sounds like you make this sound so easy. It wasn't easy for you, I'm guessing. You must have made some mistakes along the way as you found your route to this.
No, definitely. Look, it's never easy. It's never easy, but for me, I find clarity of purpose being the one thing that is very helpful. So if you're very clear about what outcome you want to produce in your life, then you will take that hard bullet, and of course you will get people that do not even agree with your viewpoint or your perspective. But that's where the selfishness comes in, because you believe in the cause. You will go forth even if the people around you do not agree with it. I remember when I was studying for my MBA. I was young, and I lived in a community where people just got together a lot in terms of just partying. There's a birthday party here, and when I started studying my MBA, literally I had no party life. I actually, if people invited me, I would actually respectfully say, no, I'm sorry, I cannot. And I remember, one of my very close friend was like a mentor, really taking offense to that. She's like, listen, you never at any of these functions, okay? People are wondering where you are. But again, I had to explain to her. So it was a difficult, it's like you're going against the tide, okay? So there's this expectation where everybody, you know, is feeling this is what you need to do. And you've also set yourself your own course. So just finding that balance and that courage as well to say no to certain things becomes, you know, something that...
Sarah, we lost you for a second. We're going to have to put this back together. We got broken up. Can you start that last bit again for me?
Where do you want to start from?
I'm so sorry. I don't actually, I've been offline. Maybe you didn't realize that I'd gone offline for...
Actually, just carried on talking, actually.
But I don't want to miss anything that you said. So okay. I'm just bring myself back to what I asked you. Let's think. I said
about it couldn't have been easy.
Yes, it couldn't have been easy. Shall we go back to that answer?
Can you just ask that question again?
What did I ask you? Yeah, okay, let me ask that. Okay, I'm going to... Sarah, you make it sound so easy. You make it seem like it was just seamless for you, but you must have struggled with this. You must have made a few mistakes along the way because it's not an easy balance to find. Can you talk a little bit to us about the mistakes you made and how you went about finding that absolute sweet spot? You're talking about a sweet spot here, and I'm fascinated by how easy you make it sound. Tell us about that if you can.
No, absolutely. So it's usually not an easy journey because you are actually going against the tide, right? But for me, having clarity of purpose helped me a lot. Being very clear about, you know, what I want for myself and the outcomes that I want to produce helped me to remain true to the cause or the agenda that I was pushing along the way. I think about when I started doing my MBA. You know, it was a hectic course, so it literally consumed all my time. And at the time, you know, my baby was young, so you know, it was a season where it's parties everywhere. Birthday parties, people getting together, but I had to make that difficult decision not to attend those, you know, activities. So my husband or whoever my support system was, you know, would take my baby to those birthday parties. I would not be available. Or even just get-togethers, you know, because I would have assignments that are due, or I would be studying for an exam. So it would not be wise for me to be out there, you know, partying when I've got all these things that are waiting for me to work on. So I would respectfully say to people, look, I'm unable to join. And I remember some people took offense, you know, as people would. One of my good friend who is like a mentor to me was like, listen, you are never available. You know, we miss you. And some people actually are complaining that, you know, you're not supporting any of, you know, the people in the community when it comes to just you being available. But I had to explain to her that, you know, I've got goals that I'm working on. And that was difficult. That was difficult. But like I said, for me, having clarity of purpose then surpassed all these things. And people not always agree with you, and that's fine. And that's part of the challenge of you trying to find the sweet spot. You've got to be okay with the fact that not everybody will agree with your viewpoint. But at the same time, you need to realize that you are your own driver of your life. And that's where the selfishness comes in, right? You've got to remain focused on what you want to produce, because you're the only one who has that vision, who's carrying that vision for yourself. And you're the only one who knows how to execute that vision for yourself.
I love what you're saying in terms of, you know, you're going to have to be willing to offend some people and to face and confront some judgment from some people. And you're going to have to endure that and tolerate some people not liking what you're doing. And that's not easy. But what I'm hearing from you, Sarah, is that you were very deliberate in following your own truth. You knew what was the truth for you, and you gave yourself permission to do that without deviating, in spite of resistance from the people around you and in your community, and criticism and judgment and offense. And that's a difficult road to take. But obviously that's what enabled you to win out in the end. It's something I deeply, deeply admire, because it's not easy. It's really not easy to engage with and to withstand people trying to stop you, and people thinking you're doing the wrong thing, and people thinking you're a bad person maybe, or even criticizing you for being a bad wife and mother, never mind a bad community member. But I'm guessing that there must have been great benefit to your family, and especially to your children, of you actually following and pursuing your dreams so deliberately, to use your word. Can you talk a little bit about that? How do you think it's helped them?
Listen, definitely, it's been such great. It's been a great. I'm actually trying to find a very good word that would describe. It added so much value to just everything in our lives. So, for example, the sacrifice of starting a business actually enabled me to be a more available mother. So the fact that I owned my time, then I was able to, be that mom that's at every sport, be able to serve as a class mom. Even though there was a sacrifice, that sacrifice was for a short period of time. Okay. But in the longer scheme of things, I was more available. I was more available for my kids, and my kids have valued that a lot. The fact that I've been an available mother who's been involved, with every aspect of their lives. And secondly, I've been a happier human being. So if you are happy because you've achieved your goals, and you're not feeling like you've sacrificed your life, to be able to achieve or to be a mother, it gives you a different viewpoint, or a different joy in your life. So for me, I'm glad that I was able to achieve what I've achieved, yes, with a bit of sacrifice, but I'm a more happier human being without feeling that I've missed out on life. I don't feel I've missed out on life. I've been able to do all the things that are important to me. So I've been able to study, I've been able to build a business, I've been able to be a present mother, I've been able to be a present wife. So I don't feel shortchanged in life. And that then, I think, makes you feel fulfilled as a person. And if you're fulfilled, you are more happier as a human being. So that has been the impact, it's had on the general well-being of my family, having a mother who's fulfilled, in her journey, for me, I think has been quite useful for my kids.
So again, you say so much, and I'm going to do my thing again and just tease out the nuggets that I've heard in what you've shared there. And thank you for that. The first thing, you keep on using the word season, and I think there's such wisdom in that you've been willing to see that life is full of seasons. And so you've been willing to make a sacrifice for a season in order to have maybe a winter which gives rise to a summer, and we couldn't have summer if we didn't, or we couldn't have spring and summer if we didn't first have winter. So I think there's something so wise in your willingness to engage with the seasons of life. And then I just love this expression of your happiness, fulfillment, your confidence, your joy. It's like you've allowed yourself to do what's necessary in your life in order for your cup to be overflowing, so that your whole family and everybody in your life is blessed by and filled up with the overflow from your cup. So instead of you coming from sacrifice of yourself and your dreams and everything that's important for you, you've done the opposite. You've done everything that's important for you. You've allowed yourself to live your purpose and your truth, so that you're so full it's overflowing for everybody else. And therefore you describe your family as well, enjoying well-being, the whole family, and at least in a big part because you allowed yourself to be full of well-being. Now that is wisdom, and that is very new agey. You know, I remember my mother, bless her lovely, wonderful heart, and she grew up in a totally different era, and times were different, and my father and his business were different. You know, it was almost like it was absolutely frowned upon for women to work. And my mother's a clever, intelligent, ambitious woman, and there she was being a mother. And she used to say things to us like, I've sacrificed my whole life for you children. And that made us feel guilty and ashamed and sorry and bad. And it's so juxtaposed against this new agey permission you've given yourself to just live your own truth and allow yourself to be so overflowing instead of coming from this place of self-sacrifice. So I just find huge benefit in what you've shared here. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. So let's talk a little bit about your dreams for the future, because you have so obviously lived your life according to a vision and a dream. And what do you dream of for the future? I know you're your own boss and you're your own CEO of your own business. So, and your children are now growing up, even your little 6-year-old. What's the plan for the future?
So my plan is to just carry on growing in many aspects of my life, growing in my business life, growing in my journey as a wife, growing in my journey as a mom, growing in my journey of academics, So one of my long-term vision is that I want to do a PhD. That is on the cards. I am also working on a book that a family book, a book that talks about marriage and how to build, a happy family. That will soon be hitting the shelves. It's with the publishers. Just continuing. Doing what I'm doing now. I love being a present mother. I'm very involved with the lives of my kids, being available. I love being a present wife. So those are my ecosystem of my life, if you like. So it's so my vision is just to keep growing, and I'm quite deliberate about investing myself in each pillar so that I just get better as a human being.
So there's, again, you keep on doing this over and over again, so many things that you've said there. I think the first thing I want to really tease out is that remarkable ability of you and what you're sharing with us to recognize the multifaceted human being that you are. And this is a huge aspect of well-being as I see it. So I just love the wisdom that underpins that for you, that you really recognize and deliberately nourish all the aspects of you as a person, and also devote time and attention and something's changed my background all of a sudden, deliberately go for and indulge in growth in all of those aspects. So that's the first thing I heard you say. And the second thing is this word growth, which I think is a huge aspect of well-being. I think when we're constantly growing, it keeps us passionate and excited and just evolving, and that's totally different to the way that so many people are living on this planet, which is just sort of rinse and repeat. Wake up and do what we did yesterday because it's safer and it keeps us going, and better the devil we know than the devil we don't know. And so just living out of habit, living in a rut. And everything you're talking about is exactly opposite to that. You are taking the reins of your life and creating it as you go, and believing in learning and growth and curiosity and your potential to expand and evolve as a human being. And can you tell us a little bit more about the outcomes of that for you and your family?
Yeah, I think what that does so is that it makes you a fulfilled person. Hey, I cannot overemphasize that. And for me, I don't know what other people's experiences are. I've always said, listen, when I reached my 40s, I actually felt successful. Okay, so not success from the bank account, or how much money I have in my account. It was as a result of having ticked small things that I had set myself out to do, that I wanted to achieve. Even a small thing like I'm now an available mother. That was a goal that I'd set myself, and so I relish that, and I just embrace that, and I celebrate that. And for me, that's a success. And so it goes in many other areas of my life, small things that I'd set as small goals. And, when I look back, I'm like, oh, okay, I've achieved that, tick, I've achieved that. So cumulatively, that actually just gave me a sense of fulfillment and success, as a human being, so really in my 40s, I've always felt, wow, I've lived my life, and I enjoy where I'm at, and I just feel successful. And like I said, it's not necessarily in terms of measure of material things that have been gained. It's really at a personal level that if I even share with you, you'd be like, oh God, is that what you call success? But for me, it is because I had set that goal. And now the fact that I am living it, no matter how small it is, it becomes part of my brick of my bigger wall of success. So overall, it just makes me feel very fulfilled as a person. I'm like, wow, my life is where I had actually envisioned it to be, and I am living that.
Wow. So you have defined your own success. You have your own definition of success, and you're not using society's definition of success, which, as you say, maybe is related to your bank balance or your skinny malinky body or your whatever. It's your definition of success, what you find to be the truth and important for you. And what I'm hearing from you, yeah.
I also just want to come in because that is a very important point, especially for women. We need to be able to set our own picture of what success is at a personal level. We live in a society that is so competitive, that every time, if your measure is against somebody else, you'll constantly be feeling you're not good enough. So for me, my mindset, and I don't even know where I got this from, I've always grown up with the mindset of I'm good enough. So because you've got a mindset that you're good enough, you're not sitting to compare your success to another. We're two different human beings. We want different things in life, you know, and so having the sanity to actually decide to define what success is for you as a human being is very, very important. So you can measure that. So that would be your measure that you'll be looking at. I think people walk around feeling so unfulfilled. I meet a lot of women that feel like, oh my way, I feel I haven't accomplished much. You know, this is not what I envisioned that I'll be in my 40s or in my 50s. I'm just like, okay, you're feeling that way. What are you comparing that to? So for me, I think there's a lot of wisdom in at a personal level, just to know that you are on this path on your own. It's your journey. It's your truth. Decide what you want in life, set those goals, and just go for them. So my success will look very different from your success. So, and that's fine, because we are two different human beings and we want different things for ourselves. So I think the moment we break free from that kind of thinking where, you know, we're going with the success that has been set out by other people, we'll get more fulfilled in life, and we'll be fine. We'll be fine. I think we're all making wins at a personal level, but because society has pushed an agenda of what success looks like, people are always feeling they're not good enough. They've not measured up, you know? So yeah, so being comfortable with the fact that we all want different things in life, and you set for yourself what success, you define for yourself what success looks like. And yeah, you celebrate those wins. Yeah.
You are talking about the essence of well-being as I see it. So I just love how you've explained it, that you are feeling confident in choosing for yourself about your own life, not comparing it to anybody else's, and believing in what feels right for you, and then setting about deliberately living according to your own values, truths, and beliefs, and confidently staying the path without being tempted to compare to anybody else or deviate because somebody else thinks you should, but living your own truth. Wow, it's not easy to do that, because we have this thing called an ego, which constantly compares us to everybody else. But when you can keep your ego quiet, or hear your ego's voice and do it anyway, live your life for yourself according to your own values and your own truth, then you will have fulfillment. But what I'm really hearing from you as well, underpinning your ability to do this so relentlessly, is this self-efficacy. You really believe in yourself, and you really trust yourself to be able to go for what you want and what you know is your dream. And that self-efficacy is something really rare and precious. So I honor you for having it and for really living it. But I think what you shared with us is that it comes from a belief that you're good enough. It comes from telling yourself over and over and over and over again that you are good enough and that you can do it. And I think that is something that we can really learn from you. And what you've shared with us today, Sarah, is I'm good enough has to be your internal mantra. I can do it. And you obviously have filled your head with that, filled your heart with that, and filled your gut with that. And that's why you look as wonderful as you do. And I'm going to say something around aging, because I don't know how old you are, and you don't have to share with us, but I know you're not a 20-year-old anymore, but you are aging in reverse, which is something I believe is truly possible when you do live as if you're good enough, and you do live your own truth, and you do make choices deliberately about every minute of every day. then you can age in reverse and you can live with everlasting energy and passion. So can you talk a little bit to us about aging for you and aging in reverse, if that's a thing you can relate to? Yeah, what does it mean for you?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I agree with you. So I'm not shy to talk about my age. I'm in my 40s. Okay, I'm turning, 47, 46 this year. But I've never felt like I'm in my 40s. And this is something that I keep saying. I still feel young. Like I actually have to think about, the fact that, oh, I'm actually even past my mid 40s now. It's something that has really it's actually never registered in my mind, because I'm just busy enjoying life and busy doing life. I feel as energetic as ever. I feel as vibrant as ever. I have, visions that, are so alive that I'm working towards. I've got goals that I'm working towards. So yes, I feel very young. I feel very young, at heart. And even physically, I've really never felt odd, to be honest.
Well, you are young, by the way, if you look at it out of my lens, because I'm even older than you. But I think your secret of youthful vibrancy is the enjoyment of your life. I think that's what you're saying to us is it's because you have so much joy and enjoyment of your life. And that seems to be not only because you're choosing about every minute of every day, but also because you're grateful. You're grateful for yourself and you're grateful for the life that you have. And if there's something you don't like, you can change it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I was actually going to say just a sense of gratitude. I am a big believer, and I live on that constantly on a daily basis. Just having a sense of gratitude, even in small things. I am very aware and very attuned. I keep saying I'm just one of those people that choose to look at life as the glass is half full and not half empty. I'm just an optimist. So I keep saying, I keep saying I'm an optimist by nature, but actually not. I'm a deliberate optimist by nature. I am very deliberate about being optimistic, and so I just leave it out.
So you must have negative days. You must have days when you just don't feel grateful. You feel like life is tough. And tell us about those days.
No, definitely those days are there. But the one thing I can tell you is that I do not allow myself to dwell there. So when that comes, to be for a bit, but let me tell you, I'll snap out of it quickly because my mindset is so attuned to, being positive. So one of the things, I am actually very strict, deliberate, whatever word you want to use, about what I allow in my space. So the kind of things that I listen to, the kind of things that I read, the kind of people that I connect with, the kind of friends that I speak to. So listen, so even if you're my good friends, if you're full of negativity and you're not bringing positive energy in my life, I'm gonna slowly put you at the back seat. That's just the way it works. It's that whole thing of being selfish, okay? So because it's so important for my well-being, if you're not a person who's pouring a life into my life and you coming to just take or just bring negativity, I'll try and support you for a while and I'll point it out to you. But if you are just naturally, because people enjoy that, people enjoy being in that negative space, then you know what, I am so sorry. I do not want to be tapping into that energy because I live life on purpose. I am deliberate and I live life on purpose. So yes, the negative days will be there. But I can assure you it will be for a short period of time. I snap myself out of it very quickly. And part of the tools that I've put in place is that whole thing. What am I listening to? And even when I'm actually feeling negative and down, I just go and look for material that is uplifting. I listen to that, whether it's reading the book, whether it's listening to music. Because you can feel when your energy is going down, or when you're starting to feel negative, when you're sliding in there, you can change that very quickly. And so I change that very quickly by, listening to the right kind of materials, or right kind of music, or just also revisiting, my vision. I'm a believer of vision boards. They keep me focused, like this is where I'm going. I'm also a believer of self-talk. Talk to yourself positively. So, I'll tell myself, Sarah, this is not you. You can't sit here and just be feeling sorry for yourself. Come on, get up. You can do this. So, yeah.
So thank you for the tools, because it isn't easy when you are in a negative spiral to change that trajectory. It isn't easy, and thank you for the tools that you've shared, that you use. Self-talk, doing something that will uplift you deliberately, controlling what you allow into your space and into your mind, and taking charge of that. And what I'm really hearing from you, that maybe you're not even aware that you're doing, but I've heard you say you're doing, is that you're the boss of your own mind. You're not only the boss of your own business, but you're the boss of your own mind. And that is making a big difference to your mindset, I think. And you really sound like that what you think about is within your control, and you can shift your thinking. You can't control your thinking, but you can shift the spotlight of your attention from the negative onto the positive. You can do that deliberately. And so I love that that's something that you're really deliberately using. Thank you for sharing that with us. And that obviously underpins your success, and not only your success at work, but your success in feeling like a fulfilled woman, a fulfilled human, and having a joyful life. And for me, that's the definition of success, that you feel vibrant and alive, and that you are living without regrets. I think it's really sad how many people actually get to the end of their life and say, oh my God, I wasted it. Or people say to me so often, and I find this really sad, how did the time go by so fast? And I think when you're living on purpose, deliberately, the boss of your own mind, life isn't going by fast, because you're really enjoying each precious minute that you have. So thank you for those nuggets. We could carry on talking all day. I just can never get enough of your positive mindset, of your strategies for life. It's extraordinary, and that's why you're an extraordinary woman, and that's why that lunch where I met you was so unforgettable, because you are truly unforgettable. Thank you, Sarah, for everything that you've downloaded for us here today. And I just wish you all the joy and all the success as you journey forward on your life. And I really hope that our paths get to cross some more, because you're an absolute anecdote and vaccine against the negativity of the planet at the moment. So yay for you, and thank you. And I hope that our listeners have got some tools and strategies that they can apply in their own lives, or maybe they've got some things that they can celebrate, having listened to how you celebrate yourself and your own life and successes, because I'd love for the listeners to be able to celebrate themselves. The nugget I'm taking most sincerely away from you, although there's been thousands of them in this little brief chat, is you believe in yourself, you know that you're good enough. and good enough, not good compared with anybody else, just good enough for you and your precious life. So thank you, Sarah. Have you got one last little something that you want to leave us with as we say goodbye to each other?
Thank you, Sue. It's been an absolute pleasure just engaging with you. I think, the only thing I can emphasize is for people to just know and feel that they're good enough. It doesn't matter what you've been through and the journey you've walked. Embrace the good, the ugly, and then form a good story for yourself. Form a good story for yourself. So tell a good story of your life, the lessons that you've learned from the bad, and celebrate those little wins that you've had. Because people are waiting for big wins to celebrate or to feel successful. No, small wins, should be celebrated. And you are the boss of your own life.
Yay. And how can people get hold of you? Should they need your digital transformation services? Should they need anything that you have shared that they want to get from you? And can you share with us how they can get hold of you?
Yes. So I'm very active on social media, mainly LinkedIn. So if they just look for Sarah Luyele Njamu, they will find me on LinkedIn. And from the business point of view, they can visit our website. Our details are there. And we are www.compu, and then hyphen or the minus, whatever that small thing is, connect education, one word, .co.za. So it's www.compu-connecteducation.co.za. And I'm happy to give out my number as well. If anybody wants to contact me directly, my number is 076 154 7895. 076 154 7895. Yeah, would love to connect.
Wonderful. And all Sarah's details will be on the podcast information anyway. Thank you, Sarah. I hope you have a beautiful day, and heaven help us if we don't get to have another chat in a few years' time so we can get more of your nuggets and learn from you. Take care and thank you.
Thank you, Sue.